Please help me welcome Ricky Waters.
How are you? Wow. How are you guys today? Everybody feeling good? Exciting time, right? Exciting time. First, I have to say congratulations. Congratulations on being chosen for the Kiwanis Carefree Scholarship. This is truly a time of celebration for you and your families, and you should understand and be proud that you're here because you did the hard work, and the hard work has paid off. So give yourselves a round of applause for that. However, the journey you're embarking on is just beginning. It's just starting. When I was your age, I had the pressure to do well in school and sports. My parents didn't have a lot of money, so I knew that the only way for me to excel was for me to do everything I could possibly do to make sure that I could go to college and graduate. That was the whole thing. So I still remember when I was faced with one of the biggest decisions in my life. People always told me two of the biggest decisions that you will make in life will be where to go to college and who you choose to marry. Because these two decisions set you on a path for the rest of your life. Just seeing you sitting here today lets me know that you're already on that same path I was on. This wasn't luck. You were chosen to be here due to your dedication and commitment to maximizing the skills God gave you. Always remember that. After reading these questions that you submitted, it's clear that I shared the same passion to succeed that you do, but I also had the same fear of failure that you do. And I'm here today to share my experiences to help you prepare for some of the obstacles you will face and equip you with the tools that help me make it through. Choosing where to go to college as an 18-year-old might actually have been the toughest decision and the most pivotal moment in my life. When I was a senior in high school, I was ranked the top player in the country, #1. I made every All-American team and was being recruited by all the top football colleges. You would think with all that fuss, right, about me, that I would just be like super confident and secure with myself at that time, right? But no, I was not. Truthfully, I was still trying to find myself. I presented like this invincible exterior, but on the inside, I was battling many insecurities, many. As a child, I always felt different. I didn't like what I saw in the mirror. I always wanted to look like someone else, someone a little lighter skin, little better hair, a little skinnier nose, because I wanted to look more like my mom and my sister who had these features. This is what they look like. So you can imagine when I would go out with my mom and my sister, and people would kind of question things, and they would say things, they would always end up getting to, what happened to you? Real talk. What happened to you? Because I was skinny Rick. I'm big and strong now, scored all them touchdowns, did all those things. But I was skinny Rick who lived on Jefferson Street in the inner city of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. The capital that nobody really knows, right? Because it's overshadowed by Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. So I know where Pittsburgh is, I know where Philadelphia is, but Harrisburg, is that somewhere in between maybe? I'm like, yeah, you're right. It's the mid-pen. It's right between those two places. And that's where I was. So since I played with the older kids on my block, they were all bigger, stronger, and faster than me. And I was a kid trying to fit in, and I just wanted to be accepted. And then the walls came tumbling down on me. Because when I was about 10 years old, my parents surprised me with the news that I was adopted. This was after a stranger first approached me on the basketball court, and he comes up to me, he's like, yo, your sister, her name Rhonda, right? That's your sister? I said, yeah, that's my sister. I'm thinking, uh-oh, here we go, because all the guys wanted to date my sister. So I was like, oh, he just wants to ask me, would I put in a good word for her or something? But no, that's not what happened. This guy said, That's not your sister. That's my sister. So I'm like, man, what kind of game is this? This ain't gonna get you a date with her. Saying that for sure, but that's what he said. He was like, no, it's my sister. He said, look at me, look at you. Who does she look like? And I had to be real with myself. She looked like this man. She did not look like me. So I was like, wow, this is crazy. I was shocked and confused and had so many unanswered questions. That's when I took my feelings and I locked them deep inside. I didn't realize until later in life how traumatic that experience was for me. It put a chip on my shoulder, made me feel like I had to prove myself in everything. And I did, to everyone, including me. In school, I got straight A's. I was class president, won spelling bees, science fairs. I had to win in everything. Good wasn't enough. I had to be the best. And when I started excelling in football, it was just what I needed to feel worthy. And as the deadline to choose a college got closer, I realized my parents were not going to let me go anywhere else except for Notre Dame. That was it, Notre Dame. I remember my mom's exact words. She said, we raised you right, and we know you're going to make the right decision when the time comes. And then all of a sudden it changed into, we're not going to let you make the wrong decision now, and we're not going to let you ruin your life. You got a chance to go to Notre Dame. You're going to Notre Dame. And up until that point, I had only lived in a small town of Harrisburg. Like I said, it was pretty segregated, not very diverse. I also didn't have many people around me encouraging me to think big. I had people who supported me, but they couldn't understand when I would say, I'm going to be great one day. One day I'm going to be a star in the NFL, and I'm going to buy my mom a great big old house. I grew up watching my mom work around the clock as a nurse. And my dad, an Army veteran, worked until he was forced to retire from injury. I saw them struggling to make ends meet. I watched them sacrifice to send me to Catholic schools when the other kids in my neighborhood went to the public schools down the street. So I kind of felt alienated a little bit. And I remember complaining about having to wear a school uniform because the school uniform was almost like what I'm wearing now. I was a businessman even when I was a little man, And I remember complaining about it, and I had to wear shoes, and it was really tough for me because I would get teased and often chased and even bullied a little bit because of it by the older kids in my neighborhood. And you can imagine having to run, and I didn't have Jordans. We couldn't wear Jordans, I couldn't wear the LeBrons and whatnot. I had to wear penny loafers. That's the best it was going to get for me. Do y'all even know penny loafers? Some of these people probably don't even know penny loafers. Like penny loafers. But the cool thing about it, I used to put a quarter in there, you know what I mean? So I'd be like, yo, mine ain't penny loafers, they quarter loafers, dog. Quarter loafers. Give me mine. But you can imagine me trying to run in those quarter loafers, right? And guys chasing me. Maybe that's how I got to be so fast. Running from these guys, man, because I tell you what, if it was some cars around, they couldn't catch me. I zigzag between them cars. I hit an alleyway, man, boom, I'm gone. See ya. Because there's no way I'm going to let you get my book bag, because I already know what they're going to do with my book bag, right? They're going to go through it and everything. Oh, my God, did you read this book? You're doing this and that? No, was not going to happen. But, I didn't really fully understand the value of the Catholic education back then. But I am so glad that my parents did, because they put me in that school and it opened my eyes and it gave me a new way of thinking. And it was a very, very good thing for me, even though I had to wear that uniform, I think about some of the things I had to go through and had to deal with and all that because of going to Catholic school. And I used to get it from both sides. I would get it from the people in my neighborhood who say, oh, you think you're better than us. You think you're, goody two-shoes and this and that. And smarty art, you're the smarty art one, all that kind of stuff. They had all these little things that they would say. But then also in school, I was getting it from that side too, because they were like, you really shouldn't be here. You're not smart enough. You're not, you can't do it. So I always had to prove myself in that way. When I think about your questions, because you sent me some questions, you sent me some great questions, really, and I think you all had great questions. I like to address a couple of them now. One of them was like, what is the biggest piece of advice you would give yourself as a high school senior? And I said to myself, wow, that's a great question. If I could go back in time, I would tell my younger self to be yourself. Be the best version of yourself that you can be. You don't need to try to be anybody else. God made you unique. And he set you on a unique path with a unique set of skills. And I feel this advice would have helped encourage me to embrace my uniqueness. I may not have let my adoption change my own perspective of myself. And I would not have let negative comments cut at me and wear me down. Even as I got older, I had to realize I couldn't win every game, every challenge. Life was full of ups and downs. And the challenges seemed to get tougher and tougher as I went up the ladder. I already wore my emotions on my sleeve, so it felt almost impossible to stay balanced and positive. Even after I won the national championship with my teammates at Notre Dame, there was more to prove. This was even after I scored 3 touchdowns with the 49ers for a Super Bowl, right? Everybody thought I was probably on top of the world. It was still the same. Every time I stepped onto the football field, I proved myself. I proved my skills. But once I stepped off, I would have moments where I doubted myself and thought the rug could be pulled right out from under me at any time. I remember when I got drafted by the 49ers, I was supposed to go in the first round. At least that's what they told me. They said, several teams told me firsthand, if you're there when it's our turn to pick, we got you. So there I was, feeling like I'm about to go in the first round. Several teams told me this firsthand. I was in my home with my family and close friends watching the draft on TV, anticipating my name being called. And the first round came, and the first round went. And I did not hear my name. I was like, oh my God, what is going on? My name was not called. The first round came and went, and I was not called. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. It really did. I started feeling sick. I got a headache. I told my parents, I got to go lay down. Isn't that crazy? I just went from, I'm going to be picked in the first round and feeling all great about myself. And just minutes later, I started saying things to myself like, what if you don't even get drafted at all? I mean, there's other rounds in there, right? Second round, third, fourth, fifth. But I was like, what if you don't get drafted at all? That's kind of what I was on, this highs and lows, trying to find a place in the middle. So I must have fallen asleep because next thing I knew, my mom was knocking on my door. She said, Coach Seifert is on the phone. I'm like, what? Coach Seifert said, I didn't know head coaches would call you when that happens. I'm like, oh, Coach Seifert is on the phone to talk to me. Wow, this is amazing. Obviously, I got up real quick and came to the phone because the phone didn't come to you back in those days. You went to the phone. It was only as long as the cord. That's it. So that was my situation. But I got on the phone with him. I said, man, this is awesome. In my mind, of course, I said nothing to him. But in my mind, I was like, this is awesome. And he said, man, how would you feel about becoming a San Francisco 49er? Of course, I responded very positively because I would love to be a San Francisco 49er. That was one of my favorite teams at the time. And I was like, oh my God, one of my favorite teams to watch and all that. So I was just like, this is just amazing. And on the next pick in the second round, I was thrilled to hear my name called. I can't explain the weight lifted off my shoulders and the sheer excitement I felt in the moment. I didn't have much time to celebrate, though, because the very next day I was on a plane to San Francisco with no idea that I was about to be welcomed by the one and only Joe Montana. You guys know that? You know that guy? And to explain a little bit about why that is so amazing to me is because this guy is from Pennsylvania. I'm from Pennsylvania, you know what I mean? He went to Notre Dame. I went to Notre Dame too, you know? We kind of, the same a little bit. And then he also went to the 49ers, and he just happens to be one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game. And to me, the greatest. I may be biased, but that's what I think. So I remember walking into the locker room with the other draftees and seeing my locker with my name, Ricky Run. Well, the running wasn't there yet, so I'm not going to say running yet. I wish it said Ricky Running, but it said Ricky Waters on that thing, right on top, right next to Jerry Rice and Joe Montana. So I didn't expect any of the players to be there that day. But all of a sudden, they started filing in. And of course, they're joking each other, they're pushing each other, they're fighting and doing all the stuff that they do when they come into the locker room. And I'm standing there, and I didn't have enough time to flee the scene. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, oh my God, if I could have, I would have jumped in the locker and just hid, because I was like, oh my God, cannot believe I'm in here right now. I'm looking at my name, and here is these guys coming in right now. And so I just said, you know what? Just stand here, act like you're supposed to be here, be as inconspicuous as possible, right? And then I heard this voice say, "What's up, Domer?" I turned around, and it was Joe Montana looking right at me with them eyes. You know his eyes and everything. So he's looking right at me, and I'm like, whoa. I mean, I couldn't even speak at first, I didn't, and this never happened to me because I couldn't speak, right? Because I'm never at a loss for words, really. I'm always, the one carrying the conversations and talking and all that stuff. But here's Joe Montana talking to me, so I was at a loss for words for a minute and didn't know what to say. And I also wanted to look the other way and make sure that he was talking to me, because sometimes those guys can be really rough with you and be like, yo, what you talking about, Rook? I wasn't talking to you. Don't, or don't look at me, Rook, or something. So I was like, let me make sure everything's cool. It is what it is, right? And that this man is not, that he's actually talking to me. And it was really amazing, because he said to me, he said, oh, so you ain't talking first, right? And then, and that never happened to me before or whatever. But then all of a sudden, he goes, listen, we're going to get some wings after this. We're going to hang out a little bit. Would you like to go if you're not busy? He said, if you are not busy. I laughed, of course, and thought to myself, are you kidding me? Even if I was busy, I'm not busy anymore, because I'm going out with Joe Montana. And the coolest thing was that he told all the other teammates who would become my teammates and all the people who worked there that I was his brother from another mother. Come on now. Come on now. Joe Montana. Joe Montana told me I was his brother from another mother. And then he put my face to his and said, what, you can't see the resemblance? Come on. Man, I'm telling you, man, that was amazing for me. And that showed me the type of leader he is, the type of person he is. He knew I needed that. He knew it. He could see it. And right away, boom, he went into action. And he made me feel like I belonged. And I was supposed to be there. And I had achieved my goal of making the NFL. But I had no guarantee of making the team. And I didn't understand that part yet. The average lifespan of NFL players is 3.5 years, 3.5 years, right? But it's even less for a running back due to the workload and the injuries associated with that position. So I thought it was a lot of pressure transitioning from high school to Notre Dame, but this was a whole nother level. And I had more responsibility and less room for error. I now had more people counting on me and more pressure to succeed, which adds to a whole lot of stress. So I had a whole lot of stress on me at that point. And another question that was asked was, what mindset or habits helped you stay focused through your transition in your life and career? That's a great question as well. There were many times I sat in a dark room and asked God to give me the strength to fight through this adversity that I was dealing with. I was taught by my dad not to cry, but instead take a deep breath, bow your back, and dig in and just make it happen. No excuses. My mom would remind me of prayers I learned when I was young, like no weapon. You know that one? No weapon that is fashioned against me shall prosper, and any tongue that rises against me in judgment, thou shalt condemn. So I started saying things like that as well. My dad's approach was more hands-on and practical, because it was more like the chin up, chest out, which exudes the feeling of confidence. It's a mindset to help you believe no one can stop you. My mom's approach was prayer, and I would soon discover how much I needed both of them, big time. Because I ended up breaking my foot during training camp. My first year, I got there, I ended up breaking my foot in training camp, and just as I was starting to recover and get back ready for the season, I overcame that, I broke my hand. I couldn't believe it. I was out for the entire year, my first year in the NFL, and it was my worst nightmare coming true. As the team's top rookie prospect, I felt like I would let everybody down, and those negative thoughts, questioning my ability, my self-worth and all that, came back again. It came right on back to light. To make things worse, my teammates started calling me names like Glass Man and Plastic Man. They said I'll break easy, It's okay to laugh because, it is funny now. It's funny now, but of course at the time it wasn't funny at all. And the Niners had drafted another running back the following year in the second round again, which meant they were moving on, and I was pushed back on the depth chart. In my second season in the NFL, which was my first season playing, I didn't get to see the field until the fourth quarter in the preseason. That pretty much tells you how low on the totem pole I was. I knew if I didn't do something amazing and something quick, I was going to get cut and sent home packing. I guess I did something amazing. I guess I did something amazing because by the time the preseason was over, I became the starting running back, and the NFL awarded me that year the Comeback Player of the Year. And I made it to my first Pro Bowl. Yes. And if I said I did that by myself, I would be lying. One thing I learned when I was injured and at my lowest point was to accept help and to trust others. It's always a risk, especially in an environment where many of your colleagues are competing for the same job you are. However, I learned that a few veterans were looking out for me and did want me to succeed. When players such as Roger Craig, Jerry Rice, John Taylor, Ronnie Lott invited me to train with them, I was able to elevate my game in ways I never imagined. They took me under their wing and not only helped me improve my physical game, but they also taught me about nutrition, and they taught me how to conduct myself as a professional in the league and about mental preparation. which is a very important thing. They were legends in the game who paved the way for us, and I was extremely lucky to have them as mentors. And I also credit Coach Holtz. Coach Holtz was the coach who led us to the national championship at Notre Dame. And I credit him for teaching me the power of positive thinking. He definitely helped us all with that. He would have our entire team lay down before the game. We would lay down on the carpet somewhere. He'd find a place for us that the whole team could lay down, and we would do something that's called sinking into the carpet. Until we could no longer feel our arms or legs, he said the goal was to become so relaxed that you feel like you're floating on a cloud. And we felt like we were floating on a cloud. I would then imagine myself playing the game, executing every play to perfection. I saw myself running, catching, scoring touchdowns, high knees, the high knees that people talk about. I used to run with them high knees, spin moves, the stiff arm, the whole nine. Of course, ultimately winning the game, but I would see it all before it ever happened. And I use this method of meditation to this day. I taught it to my sons, the kids I mentor, and anyone who might benefit from it. Because meditation does work. Positive thinking does work. And if you see yourself doing it, you can do it. Coach Holtz used to always say, what the mind believes, the body will achieve. And believe that. Say that to yourself. Whenever you feel down or you feel like things ain't going your way or whatever, what the mind believes, the body will achieve. You got to think positive thoughts. You got to put positive in, positive comes out, without a doubt. And we also look externally for help, forgetting to look inside for the strength and answers. I believe God lies within all of us. And I believe that He will help us all succeed if we believe in Him and we believe that He is inside us. We just need to believe in our own abilities and quiet the outside distractions. You're always going to have distractions. You're always going to have people that say you can't do it. You're always going to have somebody that says, man, you ain't cut for this. Or what are you even doing here? Or why'd you even come out or whatever? And then those are the same people who are like, man, I can't believe how good he is. Man, that dude, did his thing. And that's what you want people to see. And that's what you want them to say. Just like I had to believe that I was worthy. All of you have earned your place here and deserve to be here. It's important to remind yourself of that, especially when things get tough. Yeah, there was another question I want to answer too. It was, why did I get my degree? When I really didn't have to. When even the Monogram Club, Notre Dame was sending me stuff as if I was an alumni. I had already graduated. And everybody thought I was a graduate, and everyone was calling me a graduate. So it was kind of crazy that everybody was saying, college graduate. And I was like, I didn't quite graduate yet. I don't want to say anything, but I didn't quite graduate yet. But it was always something that was really important to my parents. First of all, it was very important to them. It was imperative, and that made it important to me. And I wanted to be the first in my family to graduate, especially from a major college like Notre Dame that my mom and dad loved. I mean, they loved that college. They always did. They put me in Catholic school my whole life. I've never seen any other school but Catholic school. And then there I was going to college and going to Notre Dame as well. So that was the main thing. The other thing was my kids. I always tell them, finish what you start. And you can't tell somebody that, and you don't do it. How you going to say, finish what you start, finish what you start. But Dad, did you finish? Did nobody ask you that? Did nobody ask you that? No, but it was very important because of that as well. Not to mention that my wife is an attorney, and she has a whole bunch of plaques up on the wall. She got the undergrad, she got the lawyer, the law degree. She got all these other ones that she did after she got out. So it's like, where was mine? So I had to put one on the wall as well, and a pretty big one at that and a pretty cool one at that. So, I'm back in the house all of a sudden, once I did that. It was like, okay, that's why you did that. But also, I inspired other people. I inspired Jerome Bettis. You know Jerome Bettis? The bus, baby, the bus. Pittsburgh Steelers, the Rams, an amazing teammate of mine. I talked with him after I got my degree, and he was like, man, you went back and got your degree. I said, yeah, man, I did it, man. I had to do it. I went back and got it, man. He said, wow, I don't even have mine. I said, oh, really? I said, check it out, though. You can do it, man. If I could do it, I know you can do it, man. Go back there and get that. And he went back, and he did that. So that is really, really special to me, and that's something that I love, inspiring people, getting people to say, you know what? Not only is that guy not too bad of a guy, but he's somebody who has fire and has passion and believes in himself. Because now I do believe in myself. Now I do believe that I am worthy. And now I think that I can stand up here and talk to people about it. And now I'm able to do it. Every time you get up and speak, I don't care. I've been speaking for so long in different ways, in different forums and to different people. You're always going to get nervous. Everyone gets nervous. Everybody is like, oh no, what if I go out there? Like I just had that negative thought when I first came out here. I came out here and I said, oh, what if I trip and fall? What if I just trip and fall? Don't even get up there or make it up there. What if I trip and fall and hurt myself and then now I have to go to the hospital or something? Like that would be just terrible, right? Oh, no. But those things, just so you know, those things happen to everybody. And everybody thinks like that. But you have to tell yourself there's positive things too. And that's how you're able to do it. You walk right up here anyway, and you talk anyway, and you say what you feel, and you say what you believe, and you hope that the people agree with you, or at least appreciate what you have to say. And that's all you can do. That's all you can do. All you can do is the best you can do. That's it. You don't have to be somebody else, like I said. You just be yourself. Was there another one? Was there another? Okay. That was it. And I'm not going anywhere, so if you do have any other questions or any of those questions, come and talk to me, because I understand what it's all about. But congratulations again. You deserve to be here, and you're going to do it. Believe in yourself. Thank you. Thank you. God bless.